pronounce it. You call me Rashid. Thank you for being in this live stream. I'm an anthropologist and sociologist, and I'll be discussing a controversial topic today. That's a topic of crocodile worship. Also because there's a section of human sacrifice involved that's disturbing, but I'm going to discuss it because it's necessary. And as an anthropologist, I look into things like this. But for those that are here, can you confirm if you can hear me clearly? Just so I know if I need to adjust the sound settings. Can you all hear me clearly? Let me know, please. Can you all hear me clearly? Let me know, please. Thank you very much. Oh, I see various people here already. Antoinette is here, Diane is here, Joanne is here, Dementia is here, Andrea is here. Thank you all for being here. The rest is here. Please let yourself be known in the live chats too. Thank you very much. Okay, I'm going to share the screen with you. Hold on. Hold on. Can you all see the screen I'm sharing? Let me know, please. You can all see the screen? Let me know in the live chat so I know the StreamYard is working properly. I know you can hear me clearly. I want to know if you can see the screen well. Okay. So, crocodile, alligator, caiman. Is there any difference between them? Yes, there are. Briefly here it says alligators are dark colored with a broad, rounded snout and are usually found in fresh water. Crocodiles are grayish-green and prefer coastal, brackish, and saltwater habitats. So it doesn't mean they can't be in fresh water, but they prefer to be in salt water. And crocodiles have a narrow, tapered, triangular snout. And here it mentions that crocodiles are bigger, have a V-shaped snout, and more aggressive. So the difference between crocodile and alligator, there is a difference, as you can see over here. They're similar, of course, but there are some differences. And you also have the caiman, which also has some other difference to it. But you can look it up all for yourself if you want. Just understand these are the gator class of animals. All right? And one thing you may not have known is that crocodiles and also the alligators and the other parts of the gator family, they were worshipped. Actually, they're still worshipped today, but in ancient times, they were worshipped. This is a mummified crocodile over here. All right? They used to be worshipped in ancient Egypt also. For some excavations now. And in ancient Egypt, there was this deity they worshipped called SOBEK. I'm not going to go into all of it, okay? Just going to read this portion over here for the most part, and then I'm going into the spiritual and anthropological part of it. Okay. One more time. SOBEK was an ancient Egyptian deity with a complex, elastic history in nature. Elastic means it tends to change throughout history. He's associated with the Nile crocodile or the West African crocodile, and is represented either in its form or as a human with a crocodile head. Sobek was also associated with pharaonic power, fertility, and military prowess. Something I want you to remember, military prowess, but served additionally as a protective deity with apotropaic qualities. Anthropotropaic magic simply means is magic performed to ward off negative energy. So those are charms, which I spoke about on this channel a lot. Invoked especially for protection against the dangers presented by the Nile. So it has been famed for having been referred by the first real pharaoh. Okay? Okay. So they had this deity, this crocodile deity in ancient Egypt, and they were actually seen here in green on the throne. Now, first thing first, this deity does not look like this. No. One thing you to understand about Egyptian deities is that Egyptian deities were portrayed in a symbolic way. For example, you have, let me see, Anubis over here. Is the Egyptian man with the dog's head? No, there was no literal Egyptian man with a dog's head walking around. This is a symbolic representation of the fallen angel that they worshipped. The ancient Egyptians, contrary to the ancient Greeks, the ancient Egyptians had symbolic representation of demons, while the ancient Greeks aimed at portraying the demons how they actually look like, and the most accurate as possible. Do you find ancient Egyptian images that actually show you how their evil spirits look like? Yes, but most of the time they would have symbolic representations like these over here. Okay? So we're talking about SOBEK, this fallen angel over here. And this fallen angel was perceived as the founder of society. Because think about it, you go to Egypt. Let's see if I can. Ancient Egypt. Okay, when you look at ancient Egypt, and look at this map over here, they relied for the most part on the Nile River. Okay? And all their main cities were around the Nile River. Of course, you had a few oases, but most of it were around the Nile. So it was quite important for there to be societal unity for this big country, Egypt, to function. So the military, as well as the police, because ancient Egypt had the police force, were the main institutions that kept the ancient Egypt together. Well, as far as they could, because often ancient Egypt fell apart in multiple dynasties, and they would reunite and then fall apart again. And this entity, Sobek, was perceived as the founder of society, of societal order. All right? So the crocodile, the animals were called crocodiles, and also those that relate to it, like the alligator, the caiman, all that, were perceived as symbols of societal order, symbols of societal protection. So over time, in ancient Egypt, that means in ancient Africa, the worship of the crocodile became the norm. So the pagans back then, they would breed crocodiles. They would have crocodile farms, they would breed those animals. Why? Because the crocodile was symbolic. Hold on, can you all hear me? Want to know for sure. Can you all let me know if you can hear me clearly, because the Wi-Fi was acting a bit weird. Can you all hear me? Let me know, please. Want to be certain of that. Can you all hear me clearly? Can you all hear me clearly? Let me know, please. Okay. Now, the crocodiles or caimans, alligators, all that relate to the crocodile were perceived as symbols of societal order, societal security. So the ancients would show gratefulness and thankfulness to Sobek, this fallen angel, by not only breeding crocodiles, but also by preferring crocodiles over some of their own human lives of their community. And the way they did this was by sacrificing life, human life, to the crocodiles. So it comes down to this. Once in a while, when there was a festival celebrating the crocodile, they would take some babies that were from the community. They would go to a crocodile pond where the crocodiles would come together, and they would throw some of these babies towards the crocodiles, and the crocodiles would feast on the babies. And that was their form of saying thank you to the god Sobek by feeding the crocodiles, one of their own babies. This is something that was done. Now, crocodile worship did not remain in ancient Egypt. It spread all over the world. And hold on. That's where you get things like crocodile worship from. So you have cultures even till this day where they worship the crocodile. Okay? So I'm not going to read all of it, but it mentioned ancient Egyptians indeed, because ancient Egyptians built enormous monuments with slave labor and where they worshipped crocodiles. But at Madagascar, was there also myths about the crocodile worship over there? And you have India. That will surprise me, but India also has a big crocodile worship cult over there. And Australia with Aboriginals. You also have one over there. One's not mentioned over here is Papua New Guinea or the Papua people. Um, this is the Papua Islands. This is an island that looks like a turtle or a dinosaur over here. And Papua New Guinea, or in Papua in general, they also worship crocodiles and they even have crocodile tattoos. As you see over here, that they put on people. This is quite a painful process to go through, but they do it. You see here, monuments for crocodile worship. See over here. So, but it does happen that sometimes the crocodile worship kind of goes a bit far and people attack the crocodiles because not everyone in the world is backwards in those areas thinking the crocodile created the world so that we need to worship the crocodile. First of all, the earth is not made by the crocodile. They know that, but they think the world or society has been founded by the crocodile spirit. That's what they believe. So, yes, yeah, crocodile worship. And again, that thing about using little children or babies as alligator bait, it's been something that's been going throughout history. Look at this. These are old images from the early 20th and also 19th century where they're portraying little black children as crocodile bait. See this one over here, another one over here, this one over there. It's a little black baby, written songs written about it, and yep. So this idea of feeding babies to crocodiles, it is what has been going on throughout history. It's quite disturbing, but it's a common thing. And it's a photograph called Alligator bait you can see over there. So what is this all about? As Wright explained, it's the worship of the fallen angel Sobek. That is what it is about. I mean, today, if you go to any zoo and any gorilla, any animal in the zoo becomes so aggressive towards a child, they will kill the animal. It's a loss for the zoo, but they can't permit the animal to kill a little baby. Back then, this was not the case. So places where crocodile worship was intense was in Florida, of course, ancient Egypt, but also Papua, as I already explained, and the south of India. So let's remember, let me go back over here. It has to do with about magic. It's about magic to get rid of bad influences. So, as I already explained, pagans they use charms to ward off negative tension. And this fallen angel Sobek, he is specialized in protective charms. So, both in ancient times and today, because it still happens today, despite the police forces and prisons we have, it still happens today, people tend to murder little children or babies of their own communities as a thank you to the crocodile spirit at Sobek. They either feed the baby alive to the crocodiles or they kill the baby or child, cut it into pieces, and use the bones of the child for jewelry. There's something that happens in Uganda still, unfortunately, and other places in Africa. But you can also, as a Westerner, go and purchase such charms, which carries a baby bone in it. There was a Dutch crime reporter, he was killed in 2021, unfortunately, but it was a Dutch crime reporter who went to Africa to expose this because it's something that actually goes on till now. And a lot of churches in Africa are part of this crocodile worship, but they fake it by pretending to be Christians. So, look, as I mentioned before, pagans use charms for the businesses. Most of charms are from financial related to finances, but a charm is a temporary ease constructed by demonic feces on your energy field. In a charm, you do a ritual, and the demons smear some of their demonic feces on your energy field, and that serves as a slowing down of danger around you. It works. However, it comes with side effects, as already explained. Now, before I continue with this live stream, how many of you have heard of crocodile worship before this live stream? Let me know in the live chat. How many of you have heard of crocodile worship before? Let me know. Let me stop the screen share. Let me know in the live chat, please. Thank you very much. Well, how does this entity really look like? Let me hold on a minute. I posted an image of how this entity SOBEK really looks like, and I'm going to share it with you right now. Hold on. Remember, I said Egyptian deities are portrayed in a symbolic way. Let me share. This is how this fallen angel really looks like. This was the way it looked like before being banned from heaven. Now he looks a bit more deteriorated than this, but the hell not. He did not have a crocodile head, anything like that. All right. So just look at it. They portray this deity like this all over the place, but it's actually this. The thing is, the feeding of little children or babies even to crocodiles or alligators, it has been a common thing. so the community could get financial ease. The community wanted financial ease, and they believed it did work for them with side effects, of course, because you're traumatized your own community, that by throwing little babies to feed crocodiles, it would appease the crocodile spirit and their society would have financial ease. That was the belief behind it. Now, crocodile worship is banned in many places in the world, rightfully so, but it's still being done. And you still have even Westerners that want to take crocodile charms. It happens. Sacrifice of children, while it still happens. So, okay, what does it say about society? Society does the following often. Okay, hold on. Let me show you something very quickly. A moment. I'm going to answer questions later on, please. Right first, doing the lecture. All right. When you think about fairy tales, let's take the fairy tales that Disney make, for example. The fairy tales that are presented by Disney are the kind of sanitized and modernized. For example, so the Hansel, how many of you heard the Hansel and Gretel story? In Dutch called Hans en Grietje, Hansel and Gretel. In the Hansel and Gretel story, in the original story, it was about children who were abandoned by the community. In the Disney version, there's a whole mystery and a whole mission for the two children. So you look at those fairy tales compared that are done by Disney, and you look at the original, where it comes from, you are going to be shocked how bloody and demonic a lot of those stories are. For example, Pocahontas is based on the trait in teenage girls, in Native American teenage girls, Indigenous American teenage girls that happened in the colonial era. It happened often that European officers of high rank would be interested in those 11 till 15-year-old Native American girls. They would take them as mates or sometimes as wives. It happened. There's even this history of this Russian diplomat who was sent to the Spanish Empire to establish trade with Spanish America, but instead he fell in love on a 15-year-old girl in what today called San Francisco, which was Spanish territory back then. And he was open about his affection for this 15-year-old. And this was a diplomat in his, I believe it was in his late 40s already. And he was married before already. So those fairy tales that your children watch through Disney or whatever, their origins are quite dark and bloody. Okay? So just like today, they kind of sanitize a lot of those stories. In ancient Egypt, they will not show you the demons for how they really were. It will give you a symbolic image. But let's go back to today. When society is covering up its violence, they will always come with a funny story. Humor is a tool used by society to water down its crimes. Now, that's why standing comedians can get away saying the most horrible stuff. because they do it in a form of humor. But if you pay attention to what they're actually saying, it's quite horrible. But because it's done in the form of, let's say, a joke, we tend to, well, we tend to overlook it, or we tend to say, well, it's just a bad joke, so what? For example, the whole idea of using black children as crocodile bait, it became something in the common culture in the south of the United States, yet saying songs about it. But the real content is really disturbing. So the thing is, a lot of people will talk about the use of African babies as crocodile bait in the south by European colonizers, but they won't tell you the origin of it, which is ancient Egypt, like I just did. They will disconnect it from ancient Egypt altogether, even though it's ancient Egyptian worship. So this is what it comes down to. The colonizers who colonized what they call the south of the United States, they used charms in their colonial enterprises, including Egyptian charms. That's why they also practice the worship of SOBEK down there. And that's why till this day, there's crocodile worship going on in the state of Florida, as it was throughout ancient times, going all the way till today. It's also one of the reasons why there were not that many Spanish settlers in Florida when it was a Spanish province. So, understand the following. In this present day world, the violence of society is sanitized in the sense that it's kept hidden through jokes or by Disney versions of what was going on. And a lot of people today, they want to accept the sanitized version of what they've been told. The real hardcore reality of what's really going on, they do not want to admit it. For example, Frozen. This, okay, let me show it to you. Hold on, let me share the screen again. For example, Frozen. This production by Disney. Let me enlarge it a little bit. It looks cute for children, a 3D animation. But the image itself reveals a pagan or even a satanic background of this production. Now, look, if your child watched Frozen, I'm not saying automatically they've been indoctrinated with Satanism or classical paganism. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that your child now has a basis to later recognize Satanism and classical paganism when it's being promoted. Don't think they make these productions just to entertain your child. No, they make these productions to indoctrinate the population in a certain direction. And they're not serving Jesus. So if they're not serving Jesus, that means they're worshiping fallen angels. This was a Disney over here. And, well, I'm going to talk about this warlock over here. But okay. First of all, the color. This is the colors associated with mermaids. So this figure represents the worship of mermaids or siren worship. This image, I'll leave it for your own imagination to what it symbolizes over here. I'm not going too deep into it. But frozen. When something is frozen means it's stuck, means you can't move forward. And you see the pyramid in the background also. And you see the witch doing quote unquote white magic and a castle of ice over there. All of this is pagan symbolism. They're giving you a program. But as society, we look at the shape and we accept it because it looks so cute, it looks so fun. But what is behind it? Okay? Now look, Rashid is for children. Yeah, it's for children. And why do you think they spend millions to produce something like this for children? I want you all to wake up when it comes to all of this. All right? Now, I do not foresee an increase in acceptance of crocodile worship anytime soon. Because even to hardcore atheists, the idea of throwing little babies to feed crocodiles is extremely horrible. So in this day and age, I do not foresee widespread acceptance of crocodile worship. What I do foresee is the subtle condonance of this crocodile worship as long as people are not confronted with it. So understand, crocodile worship or the worship of SOBEK, it's going on. It happens. Many companies, corporations, even churches are involved in this. Rashid, how can you recognize them? Well, one thing these crocodile worshippers often insist upon is military discipline. There's one thing they are obsessed with. So, if you attend a church where they make a lot of comparisons to the military over and over again, start examining whether it's really a church. Because it may be a front for SOBEK worship. If you are working at a company or in a corporation and there's this almost militant hierarchy over there, extremely militant, even though it's not the military, consider that they may be doing crocodile charms. Those are the easy symptoms to recognize where the crocodile worship goes on. But Rashid, can't you have a company that's just very firm in a military setting? That can be. But firm in a military setting will not be motivating for neither your customers nor your coworkers. So why do they have it if it's not really that productive? That's because it's devil worship. That's why. All right. One question to all of you. How many of you have noticed the amount of people that go missing in your area? Maybe you don't pay attention to it, but who of you have noticed the amount of people that go missing in your area? Let me know in the live chat. So, understand the following. When people go missing, I'm not talking about people who went to a party and they forgot to inform their relatives that, yeah, I just went to a party and for the next 2 days, the phone was off. I'm not talking about a case like that. Because in such case, someone is found very quickly. I'm talking about people that suddenly disappear and everyone knows very well there's foul play. 9 out of 10 of those people that go missing like that, it's devil worship. They're kidnapped by cults for rituals. And the children that are abducted worldwide are used also for SOBEK worship or crocodile worship. They are. Listen, some people are very desperate. Some people are extremely desperate for financial ease. They'll do anything, even including their own offspring, just to get financial ease in here and now. Now, there's nothing wrong with wanting life to be more financially easy. There's nothing wrong with that. It's healthy. But if you crave financial ease at the expense of your own human dignity, that goes too far. But there are a lot of people like that. So next time you see that celebrity or you see this businessman making millions, instead of praising him or her as an example, no, ask yourself, are they Christ-centered? If they're not Christ-centered, that means that the leverage to succeed came from the demonic realm. Simple as that. No human being can succeed by just randomness. It does not exist. You're either comforted by the resurrection power of Christ that you have in the Holy Spirit when you're a believer, or you get a paranormal aid. Simple as that. There's no in between. Ask yourself, what is behind an individual? How many of you remember this bronze over here? How many of you remember this bronze over here? Let me know. Who remembers this bronze? Anyone else remembers it? It used to be a very hot bronze, I believe 10 years ago. Yeah, you have a lot of shops of it. Let's see if there's a Wikipedia page over here. It's a French company. But look at this. Why put the crocodiles at the top? Rashid is because of his last name, but okay, but why the crocodile with the red mouth? Listen, if you continue to call things coincidence or be superficial about things, then the problem is with you. Simple as that. This world is a cult. This world or this society is a cult in which the public wants to escape. And you have people amongst public that exploit the escapism of the masses. And they take advantage of it by going to fallen angels to get knowledge how to exploit their fellow human beings. And in exchange, they trigger worship these fallen angels. That's what goes on. That is what goes on. So what do we do about this crocodile worship? Listen, it will continue till the time Christ comes back, unfortunately. What you can do is hinder crocodile worship around you. First thing is, be delivered from societal expectations. That's one thing. Second is, pay attention to your environment. Third thing is, command, decree, and declare the shutdown and burning to ashes of those crocodile altars they've made. And look, maybe you're fascinated by the animals. There are crocodiles, alligators, all of that. Okay? Okay, you can be fascinated by those animals if you want, but just remember, crocodiles, alligators, caimans, all that, those animals are not natural God-created animals. When some of the fallen angelic kings came to earth and in a metaphysical state raping the women, a lot of them also raped animals. That's before the flood of Noah. And those raped animals brought forth Nephilim. Some of these Nephilim also brought forth with animals. So there were contaminated animals that developed on the earth, which are animals but contaminated. Well, with the flood of Noah, most of those contaminated animal species were erased from the earth. But the crocodile is, because it survived, because it can go underwater, it's still around. So the crocodile or the alligator and that family of gators, it is the result of DNA contamination that happens before the flood of Noah. So crocodiles, alligators, all that are not natural animals made by the Heavenly Father. That's why they look so weird, and that's why they're out of balance animals. They're not made by the Heavenly Father. They're not God's creation. They do exist. They are animals, but they are a contaminated species. And that's why pagans in the past, they were breeding this animal to keep it around as a worship to the SOBEK, who triggered the existence of these things called the crocodile, alligator, and all of that. All right? So, now I've explained crocodile worship, where it comes from, and what we can do about it. Are there any questions further about this topic? Let me know. If you send me an email, I need to still check my email, so I will be on that. But are there any more questions about this topic? Let me know in the live chat, please. Are there any questions? Let me know. Just know you have people worshiping mermaids or sirens, and you have people worshiping crocodiles. Now, sirens or mermaids are sea Nephilim. Crocodiles or alligators, they're not Nephilim, but they're contaminated animals that shouldn't even be around on the earth. You won't have them around anymore when Christ comes back. You'll have natural reptiles as God designed them. Crocodiles are not even that stable animals, even eat one another continuously. All right. I'll wait for one more minute to see if there are any questions about this. If there are not any questions, I'm going to close on the live stream because I have to do some fellowship on the phone. Oh, before I forget, some of these gangs out there, those motorcycle gangs, also worshiping crocodiles. All right, especially those Asian gangs out there, those Asian backing gangs. A lot of them are involved in crocodile worship, just so you know. Well, the thing is, crocodiles, alligators, that whole family of reptiles, they're not that intelligent in how they relate to one another. They're not that intuitive. So when people worship crocodiles, it says a lot about them that they're willing to associate with a contaminated species like that. But it also says something about the public for not picking up the weird association. All right? Okay. I didn't see any more questions. Thank you all for being here. Keep agree with Christ. I'll see you next live stream. Shalom.